today I welcome to this very important event on Tech Leadership Forum. I request our Director General, Mr. Sanjay Amunkar, to please give the opening remarks and for the program.
And good afternoon to all ladies and gentlemen present here. Welcome to the chamber. As you know, Goa Chamber of Commerce and Industry, it is now in its 116th year of existence, and our current president is Mr. Srinivas Dempo. Unfortunately, he is unable to make it today. So anyway, a warm welcome to all of you. And welcome to this fantastic event where for the first time we are bringing together experts and professionals both from tech and health sectors of Goa under one roof. It's my privilege to represent GCCI and facilitate this exceptional gathering, the Future Tech Leadership Forum, launched by our very own Umang, Mr. Mangesh Salilkar. Thank you so much. This forum was created with a simple yet powerful mission to bridge the gap between the tech and non-tech sectors and showcase Goa's IT and tech industry to the other industries. Today we kick off our Talk 1 session focused on health, medical and pharma sectors. It's an honor to have you all for this what promises to be an inspiring and insightful exploration of the future of healthcare. We will be planning on other sectors shortly. Mr. Salilkar will tell us more about it when he speaks. Healthcare is an essential part of our lives and we stand on the brink of a significant transformation. Emerging technologies are revolutionizing the way we approach healthcare, making it more accurate, preventive and patient-centered. We are fortunate to be joined by some of the leading experts, visionaries and innovators in the field of health, medicine and pharmaceuticals. They will share their knowledge and insights on how these technologies are shaping the future. As we progress through today's discussions, I encourage you to engage fully, ask questions, share your thoughts, and connect with our speakers and fellow attendees. Whether you are a tech enthusiast, a professional in the field, or simply passionate about making a difference, your input is invaluable. Thank you for being here and for being a part of this important journey. Let's make today a day of discovery and meaningful conversations that will help share the future of healthcare. Once again, welcome and let's enjoy this evening of exploration and innovation. Thank you. I now invite the chair of our Health and Wellness Committee, Dr. Digambar Naik, for his welcome address. Dr. Naik, please.
Good afternoon, friends.
Good afternoon.
Well, we are here today as we gather here and sit down for a little bit of chat, thought, questions, and our contribution to this beautiful subject on health. All of us are contributing something. India definitely stands on a very pivotal moment. A moment where technology is reshaping industry today, creating jobs, enhancing lives. Creating jobs. Today we are talking about creating jobs. I remember a time when IT came in, everyone believed that we are going to be losing jobs. And today we are talking about creating jobs. Okay. It's my honor as the chairperson of this healthcare committee at the Goa Chamber of Commerce and Industry to welcome you to the Future Tech Leadership Forum. Listen, act, and Excel series. And this talk today is focused more on shaping the future of health, medical, and pharma through technology. The Future Tech Leadership Forum, an initiative by Umang, is more than just a conference. It's a bridge connecting the brilliant minds of the technical sector with the challenges and opportunities of other vital industries. This isn't an event for me. It's a catalyst for innovation. It's a catalyst for collaboration. Our focus today is healthcare. This itself is a testament to the transformative power of technology we have. From rural villages to bustling cities, technology has the potential to be the great equalizer, providing access to quality health care for all. AI-driven diagnostics, telemedicine, and digital healthcare are just the beginnings. The medical and pharmaceutical sectors have undergone rapid transformation these days, driven by breakthroughs in our genetics, artificial intelligence, as well as biotechnology. From personalized treatments to more effective disease prevention, these advancements hold immense promise of improving our lives. Friends, if you look at the health sector in our country, we have our unique challenges. We are always shortage of physicians or doctors. We have a healthcare which is not uniformly acceptable because health is a state subject, and those states which have remained behind, the health has also lagged behind equally well. And we are all, I would say, the whole ecosystem itself is reactive, or you could say hyper-reactive. Your Calcutta incident tells you what we are doing. The whole country is shaken. But this could have been easily prevented. Everybody knew this can happen. Everybody knows the reason for it, and it needed to be prevented. But no, our whole ecosystem itself is reactive. For every small thing, I think we keep on reacting like this. Just 2% of our hospitals are accredited. That talks about the quality of healthcare that we have. We give individualized healthcare. I give you a healthcare which I feel is the best. This is definitely not the right way. Okay. Government expenditure is much lesser. 62.4% of healthcare expenditure is from our own pocket. Goa is a little better into that, but rest of it is not. How do we tackle these? How do we take care of these challenges? These are really challenges. You look at you look at UK, USA, the health sector, they don't have these challenges. There were very specific ways of what is called as a protocol-driven healthcare management, which has failed today. In UK, I can definitely say it has failed. I still have patients coming from UK once in 6 months, come for a consultation to me individually, take 6 months treatment and medicine, go back and come every 6 months. My daughter, who is in States, takes every small, she takes my advice for every smallest thing. She says she's accessible to everything. They pay so much to the insurances, she doesn't even want to go there. So where are we? We have such major shortages, we have such major challenges, and we have to give the best. Is it possible? For a Western world, it's, oh, you must be having a humbug medical care. But look at us. 1947, our life expectancy was 27 years. Today, our life expectancy is 72 years. And it is rising every year. So we are having a great health care in spite of such terrific challenges with us. Okay. Why? Because if you look at We have lots of disruptive technologies now. And these disruptive technologies are, I think India is making the best use of them to create that great healthcare that we are all living for. Okay. What are they? We have much less invasive diagnostics. I don't get a CT scan, MRI, and a PET scan for each of my patients to make a diagnosis. I have some small tests here and there, and that gives me a correct diagnosis and a correct treatment. It happens today. We have much smaller implants today. AI is helping us in all the ways. 3D printing is playing a big role for us. We have connected devices for house use. We have our mobile apps. They may not be accurate, but they help us to treat our major challenges in a beautiful ways. Remote monitoring solutions, there are plenty of them. Digital platform integrations. And of course, robotics is growing up in India like hell. Yes, only technology, I think, can solve our challenges, what we have. And technology will definitely help us do that. Okay? So, it is this technology which will help us to reduce our operational challenges. It's a technology which will help us to improve our care delivery, and it's this technology which will help us to give a better experience to our healthcare. Friends, the convergence of technology and healthcare is evolving at an unprecedented pace, promising better patient outcomes, reduced cost, and increased accessibility. But beyond the technology, this journey of healthcare is about people, is about collaboration, is about innovation, and a shared commitment for a healthy, strong India. We are privileged today, we have with us another great man, Sriram Natarajan, as our keynote speaker today, who will share with us the insights from his journey of a startup to a unicorn, and he will take us go through today's theme today at this stage. This will be followed by a power-packed panel discussion. Let this forum be a catalyst for action. Let's listen intently to the challenges, act decisively on the solutions, and excel in creating the healthcare, a more prosperous Goa, a more powerful, more healthy India. I encourage you all to engage, to network, to share ideas, and most importantly, inspire for us to create that healthcare which we are thriving for. Thank you so much, my friends.
And now we move on to the next important sector, that is the technology sector. We have with us Mr. Sujit Shetty, who is the president of GTA and co-founder of Team Inertia Technologies. We would like to hear from him as well on the technology aspects of today's event. I welcome Sujit, please.
A very good afternoon to the audience over here and to all the distinguished guests who have come over here, who will present us a different perspective of how technology is shaping up the healthcare. So as the president of the Goa Technology Association, it's a pleasure that and it's an honor basically to be invited to partner this particular initiative that has been started by Umang called the Future Ready. And I really like the name that he has given to this particular series: Listen, Act, and Excel. So we wish Mangresh all the best in taking this series ahead with a lot more other industries covered. GTA has been in the forefront, initiating and also supporting a lot of organizations, be it the GCCI or be it the ASSOCHAM. We've also partnered with the GCCI Women's Wing and conducted a lot of tech-oriented events called the Technology and we also partnered with their Developers Summit. GTA also has its very own initiatives like the Campus Bite, where we reach out to all the academia and try and bridge this gap between technology and between the industry and the academia, and help the students understand of the current technologies that are prevalent out over there. And we look forward to organizing and also supporting such kind of events very much in the future. Today, as we all know, we stand at the threshold of a revolution in the healthcare, and technology is transforming the way we approach, whether it is health, medicine, or pharmaceutical. From AI-assisted diagnosis to personalized medicine, or from telehealth to blockchain-based clinical trials, innovation has been continuously, shaping the healthcare industry. Now, what is it that we can do with technology? I mean, so many of us must have heard that, technology has been being used in the healthcare industry. One is possibly to improve the patient outcomes through data-driven insights. Today, we have so many devices available through which, as doctor was saying, today even the doctors are scared to trust, the stethoscope to, read the heartbeats and, do that diagnosis. We are so much dependent on the medical equipments that are available with us. I mean, technology can also be used to enhance drug discovery, and that's the reason why even post-COVID, we've seen that, the vaccine drive that came in, everything was possible because of the use of technology. Increase accessibility and affordability, with more and more focus being given, there are chances that it can be more and more accessible and affordable in the future. Also to empower patients to, to control their health with the help of use of apps where they can, possibly monitor their own health. This is something that can be a part of the future. But we must also address various kinds of challenges, and possibly we might get to hear during the panel discussion. Whereas as far as when technology intrudes into any industry, one of the foremost challenges that we always have is ensuring data privacy and security. How secure and how compact it is going to be, remain within that the doctor-patient kind of a relationship that we talk about. Addressing health disparities and unequal access. Also, the regulating the use of AI. Today, people fear that AI is going to take over every aspect of business. So, to what level of AI technology will be used in the healthcare industry is something that we need to look forward to. And of course, the collaboration that we see between tech and healthcare industries. So, looking forward to such kind of very, very interesting discussions that we will encounter in the series that we go ahead. But today I really look forward to this particular session and, getting more insights on how technology can path the way for healthcare industry. And I wish everybody to participate and, get your thinking hats on, and at the end of the session probably come up with a lot of questions, which I'm pretty sure our panelists will more than be welcome to answer those questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Sujit. Before we move on, I request Mangirish to also present a token of appreciation to Sujit. Technology and healthcare sector. I'm sure many of us never thought how these two sectors could actually come together and be useful. I mean, to today's, we could never imagine, how this would work out. But since 2020, post-COVID, I think now we know that definitely these two sectors are something which have to go together. And this is what today's forum we are going to discuss. I would like to invite Dr. Shweta Kanekar, who is Joint Director from DHS, who is going to help us understand how Government of India and Goa state government is working on this digital mission with us. Ma'am.
A very good evening to all of you present here. So thank you GCCI for having me over here. I've been given 5 minutes time slot to speak about the Ayushman Bharat digital mission. Okay. So till 2019, the healthcare that was there, we did not see leaps of digitization with regards to healthcare. But post-COVID, what happened is there was a drastic shift in the demand and the supply with regards to digital health technology and the healthcare that the people received digitally or from their homes. Okay. So now what is happening is healthcare, as we rightly heard from our speakers initially, is on the cusp of a massive digital transformation. Okay, and this massive digital revolution is happening much earlier than we anticipate because of the government-led initiatives and also because of the public-private partnerships. Yeah. So underpinning all this, we have the sturdy digital backbone in the form of Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission. Now this mission, it is trying to bridge the gap between the different stakeholders that are existing in the healthcare ecosystem. Okay. So Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission is planning to build digital highways wherein there will be interoperability between the different healthcare systems which are functioning currently in silos. Yeah. So what Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission is planning to do, of course it is a government-led initiative, a flagship program launched by our Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji. So the aim of the program or the aim of the Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission is to ensure interoperability, is to ensure feasibility, is to ensure scalability and to have a wider access to all the stakeholders of the healthcare ecosystem. Now when I talk about Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission, there are important components which we also call as the building blocks of ABDM. So the first one, I'm sure you all must have heard, is the ABHA, that is Ayushman Bharat Health Account. How many of you all have your ABHA done? None of you all? Okay, so this is a good audience. So Ayushman Bharat Health Account is a 14-digit unique health number which is assigned to an individual. It's a random 14-digit number. Okay, like how we have our Aadhaar identity, that is unique. So similarly, using Aadhaar as the base to identify you as an individual, based on that we have a 14-digit ABHA ID that is created, and this will be your unique identity in the ABDM, that is a digital health ecosystem. So now what is happening is any institution that you go to receive health care as a patient, different IDs are being generated. Even in our government programs, we have RCH program which deals with mother and child. We have the Nikshay program which deals with tuberculosis. So any program that you now kind of register in, you get a different ID each time. So there is nothing, a longitudinal record with the patient is non-existing at the moment. So with ABHA, what is going to happen? Patient will get a 14-digit unique health ID, which will be his unique ID through all the programs and as a unique ID through all the other institutions wherein he is taking care, okay, or where he goes to seek care. So this is about ABHA, and I am happy to share that in Goa, we have already 60%, more than 60% of the population who have generated their ABHA. So we have already crossed 60 to 62%. The next registry that Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission aims at is a health professional registry, and the third registry is a health facility registry. Okay. All this while we never had a single source of truth, wherein all the different systems, may it be allopathic, homeopathic, Ayurvedic, the nursing, they used to function in silos. Everybody had their registry, but they never had a presence on one platform. Now with this health professional registry, again the professionals get a unique 14-digit health ID, that is their professional ID, and with health facility registry, the facility gets a 12-digit unique ID which is assigned to that hospital. Now when we are assigning these IDs to the healthcare professionals and the hospitals, there is a dual verification that happens. One is at the state level and one happens at the respective council of that particular doctor. So if one person, one doctor is from the dental council, his qualifications and his credentials will be verified by that particular council to which that doctor belongs to and is practicing. So what will happen here is we will have a single source of truth wherein we will have verified and validated healthcare facilities as well as healthcare practitioners. Okay. So the main aim of ABDM or the main objective of Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission, as I said in the beginning, is to bridge the existing gap, because every hospital, if I'm using HMIS, that is Hospital Management Information System, my HMIS will not be able to talk to your HMIS which you are using in your hospital. So what Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission is planning to do is we are planning to build digital highways wherein there will be seamless and secure exchange of data between the patient and the doctor. Now when we are talking about seamless and secure exchange of data, the consent of the patient is very, very important. So Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission is based on the principle of federated architecture and privacy and security by design. So without the consent of the patient, my health records will not be shared or seen by any doctor. So when I say federated architecture, it means all the tech providers who are there are open to come onto the mission. Okay, so if you go to the website, that is Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission website, we have so many integrators, like Practo is there, Driftcase is there, then we have Bajaj. So all these integrators and personal health record apps, they are all players in the ABDM ecosystem. So we have not kept it a closed design forum. It is an open design. Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission is an open design wherein anybody can come on to the system. Of course, they have their own compliances. We have M1, M2 and M3 compliances wherein that integrator can comply to all these M1, M2, M3 levels and then be there in the open market. Because if patients have to share their records, they will need to have something called as a PHR app. Now there are many different kinds of PHR app, that is patient health record apps. Okay. So one amongst the government apps is your own ABHA app. If you go to Play Store, you can download the ABHA app wherein you have your unique ABHA address, and if the hospital is ABDM compliant, that is the hospital has a HFR number, health facility registry number, then you can seamlessly and securely share data with the doctor also who is onboarded onto ABDM with your consent. Okay, so these are the three important components. There are many important gateways also, but because of the time constraint, I think I might as well stick to these three important components. There are three important gateways also with which are there when I talk about Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission. So one is National Health Exchange Claims. Okay, that is also coming in a big way. We also have UHI, that is Unified Health Interface. How we have UPI? We all know about UPI, right? So similar way, we are in the process of having a UHI, that is Unified Health Interface, wherein the consumer, that is the patient, will have an array of options to choose from along with the pricing. So if we have to plan a trip, what do? We see all the flights, yeah, we choose the best option which is available. So likewise, we are going to have with regards to health as a UHI, that is Unified Health Interface, okay. So there are many things which Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission promises to offer. It is time that since you all have not made your ABHA, please create your ABHA and get onto this mission, because revolution is happening in a big way and we all have to, be a part of this digital revolution that is currently happening. But all said and done, at the end, when we are talking about revolution and we are talking about digital technology, yeah, we have to ensure that the patient is at the center of all this. Yeah? Because whatever innovations and technology we are talking about, patient-centric is what is very, very important. Yeah. So when we are talking about having all these innovations, of course these innovations are important because they are for ease of doing business. Yeah. But when we talk about being patient-centric, the human touch and the sensitiveness of what is attached with medicine should not be lost. Yeah. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shweta. I am sure that any important change has always some resistance. So I am sure the 40% will definitely register on ABHA after listening to you and its benefits. Before I would like to ask Sujit if you could present the token of appreciation to Dr. Shweta. Ma'am, you have you have given us a food for thought, and by what you say, we now can imagine that there will be a lot of data in future in healthcare sector, which and an important question of data security will also come into play with such huge data. We now move on to our keynote address. So I would like to invite Mr. Sriram Natarajan. Before that, I would like to give a small intro. I mean, everybody would know him, but still, Mr. Natarajan has a remarkable contribution in medtech space, serving as the CEO and founder director of Molbio Diagnostics Private Limited, which is Goa's first and only unicorn. Prior to this, he has also founded Tulip Group in '89, which grew into India's largest IVD reagent company. Welcome, sir, and we would like to hear from you. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the introduction. Good afternoon. And Mangarish Salelkar here for inviting me as the keynote speaker. Not sure if I'm really worthy of it, but well, I'm here. Thanks. So my previous speakers have spoken so much about already various things about I call the health tech. So we talk about healthcare and technology as two different subjects, but actually when you combine them, it becomes health tech. So health tech is the area now that is driving overall healthcare globally, not only in India. And a lot of activities, a lot of players are coming in the picture, including the government of India, as Shweta rightly said, who understood the value of getting technology into healthcare to reach healthcare to people all universally, let's say. So the universal health access or universal health coverage or health for all cannot happen unless we have this kind of a network in place, which is centralized, which is interoperable, and where multiple players can come in the picture and get aligned to the system, like the UPI she was talking about, where so many players are integrated and everybody is doing their own business, but all working together in a silo, right? Instead of working in silos, so that the end user gets the benefit. So they're able to access it. They have a choice. They can access whatever they want and still be connected. Same kind of a situation is happening in the healthcare system also, because I don't know how many of you are aware, but almost 80% of the population in India, they do not have access to high quality healthcare. All that we are talking about, technology and healthcare and, people having access to very high quality is all happening only for 20% of the population living in tier 1 and maybe tier 2 cities. But when you go down the line, tier 3, tier 4 and even lower, people just don't have access. So you can have the best technology, you can have the best product, you have the best healthcare system, but it doesn't work for them because they just don't have access. And what really happens is, why don't they have access? Because the healthcare system today is completely centralized. So like we spoke about Lal Path Labs, we spoke about Metropolis, we spoke about these laboratory chains, and even the hospitals, they're all highly centralized. They're all more into urban areas, more into where the population is high. And so everything gets focused into those areas. And because there is no incentive for these people to move down the line, to set up high-ended infrastructure in tier 3 and tier 4, so it doesn't happen. So all the people in tier 3, tier 4, tier 5 are supposed to come to this tier 1 and tier 2 to seek healthcare. So this is causing a lot of issues. Number one, people don't seek healthcare because it's a lot of cost for them, a lot of time for them to travel a long distance to come to a central laboratory or a central hospital. And so unless they are really sick, they just don't seek healthcare. So they just take it as it is. Now this first of all complicates matters, because if the disease or the illness the patient has is not diagnosed and treated, it just becomes worse as they go along. And by the time they come to the health system, they're already in a pretty advanced stage. And that means, first of all, the cost to the healthcare system is much, much more, because treating somebody at that stage means that they have to be hospitalized and put on antibiotics, all kinds of things, and treated much more aggressively. All this could have been prevented if they could have been diagnosed right where they were early on, and the treatment was given to them. But this is not happening, right? So this is what is contributing to the morbidity and mortality that we are seeing unnecessarily of curable illnesses, right? So Shweta just spoke about tuberculosis. So because I'm coming from the field where we are focusing on TB as a major area for our own activity, I can tell you that almost 350,000 people are dying of tuberculosis every year. This is much more than COVID on a yearly basis. And if you say on a cumulative basis, much more than any other disease that people have died of, right? Which means you can just imagine it's almost 1 to 1.5% dying every minute. That's the kind of impact that TB is having. And why is TB? And TB is curable. If TB is diagnosed early and you put them on the right treatment, it's completely curable, right? And not only the patient benefits by that because he gets cured, but it's also doesn't give TB to other people. So some statistics I can throw you about TB itself. In India, on an average, it takes 3 years for a person to get diagnosed of TB. So till that time, that person is just going around and around, going to various physicians, taking all kinds of antibiotics, which doesn't work for him, doesn't get diagnosed as TB. So by the time he gets diagnosed, on an average, for some people it could be maybe 5 to 10 years also. By the time they are really in a bad shape. And not only that, every TB patient gives TB to at least 17 people on an average every year till he gets diagnosed and put on treatment, right? So that's what we are seeing. So India has a program called the DOTS program. There are about 24,000, what are called district designated microscopy centers where TB treatment is given free. Diagnosis and treatment is given free. But the diagnosis happens through a technology called microscopy. So where the patient's sputum sample is taken, put in a slide and read under a microscope. This is a 150-year-old technology, still continuing as of today. And then they want to see the TB bacteria in the microscope. So technicians are trained for that, and this has been going on. But the problem with this is that only 40 to 50% of the patients get diagnosed. The technology itself is not sensitive enough to pick up a very early stage TB patient, so half the people don't get diagnosed. And even worse, they are told that they don't have TB. So then they go back to the community, start giving TB to other people. Then they are still suffering, and then they go to a physician. He says, okay, you don't have TB. So that means some other bacterial infection, so let me give you some antibiotic. He gives him some antibiotic. Temporary relief, but again, still doesn't get cured, goes to us. So they go around and around, 3, 4, 5 different treatments, nothing works for them. Finally come back to the program again, and then they get detected and diagnosed, and things go on. So this has been the issue, and that is why we are not able to bring down the TB burden in spite of these efforts going on for the last 35 to 40 years. The DOTS program is going on for almost 40 years now. So now there's a realization that this is not the way to do, we have to change. And that's where technology comes in the picture. So just trying to tell you as TB as an example to say where technology can come and play a role, where everybody knew that there were better technologies, even at that time, right? There's a technology called real-time PCR, or a molecular technology, which everybody knew was the best in terms of diagnosing early infections, including for tuberculosis. But it was a very centralized model, and so it never became a clinically important tool. Because if somebody had to send a sample to a central laboratory and get a report, it would take at least a week to 10 days. And by that time, the patient is already gone. It's not there in the system, right? He's gone to some other physician, taken some antibiotic and vanished, and you lose the patient. So clearly in TB, we know that if we don't diagnose and treat the same day, you lose the patients. There's also a stigma attached to it, so nobody wants to come back. So now that's where we came in the picture, for example. In the case of TB, because as I said, that's something very close to us. We said, why can't we make this molecular test, PCR test, something which can be done at the microscopy center? Why should it be a centralized model where only Lal Path Lab can do PCR? Why should a primary healthcare center not be able to do a PCR? So it took us about 14, 15 years of research and development to do it. But now we have a platform which we call TrueNat, right, which can do a real-time PCR anywhere, completely independent of a laboratory. You can take it to the field, you can to a patient's home, or you can put it in the so-called microscopy centers. And instead of doing microscopy, they can do a real-time PCR for tuberculosis with almost close to 100% accuracy. So you're almost picking more than 98%, let me say, right? Kind of sensitivity with which you're able to pick up people. So you can pick up almost everybody with TB very early stages. This is already, so that's what we developed. And we went through a lot of validations and ICMR and everything. And finally, we got approved, not only by Indian ICMR, but also by the World Health Organization. We are the only second company in the world to have a WHO approval for TB diagnosis. So then the Indian National TB Control Program, NTEP, took up this and said we will start replacing microscopy with PCR. So that's already started. So today, about 8,000 microscopy centers are already using our platform to test patients for TB as a frontline test. And they have seen that immediately their case detection has jumped. It become double of what it was before, which was expected because microscopy was only 50% sensitive, right? And so now they are already seeing the impact. So more and more people are getting diagnosed early on. So first of all, the mortality rates wherever they're being implemented are already they're seeing a big improvement and the patient suffering. And hopefully as we go along, this will bring down the TB burden because it just started a couple of years now. It will take some years to see the real impact. Because right now the cases are going up because they never picked up these cases, right? But once we reach that peak level, then we should be starting to see cases coming down. So now, while we can do this for TB, the same platform can diagnose today 30 different diseases. So now we spoke about community level engagement. So that's what we are talking about. Now the same primary healthcare center, which is doing a TB test, can test for 30 different diseases using the same platform. The platform is already there. They just have to buy the test for whatever they want to look for, right? A consumable. So that is how you are enabling, the healthcare ecosystem to come up to let some kind of a maturity, and for people to have access to high-end technology, right? So while the National Digital Health Program, for example, is creating the network, but you still have to have this basic level technologies which will link to the central system, because without that, it doesn't make any sense to have a healthcare identification number. Because if you don't have technologies to support that, then it doesn't make any sense, right? So that's where we come in the picture. And so once you do it, so we call this point of care testing, right? Once you do this, then you have to also make sure that it is able to talk digitally. So these are all digital systems. So you can connect through a GSM, or you can connect through a Wi-Fi or a Bluetooth, connect to the internet, and you can send data to anybody and everybody, wherever you want to populate the data. And so, for example, for TB, there's a Nishchay portal, as Shweta pointed out. So we are integrated to the Nishchay portal. So wherever a TB test happens anywhere in the country under the national program, it automatically gets updated on a real-time basis. The test is done on a real-time basis, the portal is updated. So you know exactly what is happening where. And then you can build analytics around it. And you can even, chart this kind of heat maps where based on the incidence level. So it also helps the program to find out where are the TB burdens, where are they really high, so that they can focus more into those areas, move more, let's say, testing to those areas, and so on. Multiple things can be done. So digitalization, while we have a digital network, the systems that are being employed must also be digital enough to be able to update those and connect to these kind of network systems. So that is how things are moving. So as we go along, so while we started this journey about point of care testing and taking healthcare to the people, now we are seeing that the ecosystem is building up. None of the big companies even thought of doing something like this. They were all very happy with the central model because there were numbers and big money and all, but nobody thought of this population. And we thought that this is where we should go, because these are the people who need. And if you can make affordable, high quality, technology solutions for them, which can reach them, that's where the real need in the market is. And that's how we set up our mission and path. And as Molbio, we are committed to ensuring that we are able to take as much of healthcare as possible to the people. So, molecular testing is one thing that we are doing, we know that there are a lot more things we should be doing for the point of care. And that's where technology is again coming in the picture. And another area of linked to TB, for example, is today the kind of people who are coming to the program are all people who are symptomatic people, people who already have TB-like symptoms, right? But there are a lot of people who don't have symptoms and still have TB, and they give TB to people, right? So if you want to eliminate tuberculosis, it is not enough just to look for people who are symptomatic. You would also have to pull in asymptomatic cases. This is called active case finding, where you want to go and screen large populations. These could be high-risk populations. They could be slum areas. They could be, mining, people working in mines, people in jails. These are all people where people aggregate a lot, and there are much more, like hotspots for spreading infectious diseases, including TB. So if you want to do large-scale screening like this, eventually you should be able to screen as much of population as possible. It is not possible to do it by a molecular test like a PCR. So you have to find some other better solution. So that is where the digital X-rays come in the picture. Before this TB testing that was done through microscopy, X-rays were the tools which were used for looking for TB. But just because X-rays were centralized again, it didn't make any clinical sense. That's why people moved to microscopy. So today we are talking about going back to X-rays again. But again, these are now X-rays which are handheld, called ultra-portable X-rays, which you can carry in your hand like a camera, which are battery operated, and you can go and take chest X-rays anywhere, right? So these X-rays are now available. So we also have this X-ray, for example. So now you can take this X-ray to screen larger population. But timing is okay, because I'm just going on. So, so this is now going to be again a big driver of active case finding for tuberculosis. Government of India is fully committed to this, and we are talking about enabling maybe 15,000-20,000 centers with these X-rays, so that people now first can be screened with the X-ray, and the X-ray can be read through an AI algorithm. So you don't even need a radiologist. So there are quite a few AI algorithms now, which can either digital X-rays, so it automatically gets read by the AI, and can tell you whether it is, a TB patient, TB or not, for example, right, or presumptive TB as they call it, because it's not a final diagnosis. So the algorithm can be set in such a way that the sensitivity is kept very high, so that you don't miss anybody with pulmonary tuberculosis, but at the cost of maybe calling some people as, which are called false positives, wrongly calling people as TB. So the algorithm is that once you do this, and once you get somebody called as a presumptive TB on an X-ray, you call the person and confirm the person on a PCR. Then you're confirming the tuberculosis, and then they can be taken into the program. Now with this kind of portability that we have with the PCR, and portability that we have with the X-ray, now you can take them together, and in the same time you can screen with X-ray and keep confirming with the PCR. So on the same day, people can be screened, confirmed, and put on treatment if they really have TB. So this is something which is coming up, so where AI is playing a role. But AI is playing a lot of role already into diagnostics and into medical area. And in one other area that any kind of image analysis. Now today people are finding AI is going to help. So X-ray is one example, but AI can be used for CT scans, for MRIs, for example. So there is one company which is able to use AI to screen MRIs for people with neurodegenerative disorders, like Alzheimer's, dementia, and so on. So it's able to give a 3D kind of image, interpretation, which even a radiologist is not able to provide, and can give you a lot more information about the condition of the patient from the time of diagnosis to monitoring the patients and the prognostics and the way the patient is responding to treatment and so on. So which can now be a very useful tool for these kind of things. They have a solution for CT scans where you can look for traumatic brain injury. So people who have suffered from accidents, for example, and take a scan, you want to see if there's been a shift in the brain or whatever. So that can be detected very easily. So you don't need to wait the time it takes to go to a radiologist and get interpreted. You don't have so much of bandwidth. You want to treat the patient immediately. So it's playing a very significant role. Now in cancer, for example, so now you have biopsies and slides are made, and these slides have to be read through by a histopathologist to tell you whether you have cancer and what kind of cancer. But today we have, these slides can be scanned and can be digitalized and can be read remotely by any pathologist, histopathologist, or you can also have AI reading this and tell you what exactly, is it cancer, not cancer, what kind of cancer. All that's possible now. So what it means is that it's not that it's again taking away any jobs. It is just that it is making life much more easier, shortening the gap between the diagnosis and treatment so that timely attention can be given. Most of them are emergency situations, and so it's important how early you're able to diagnose and give proper appropriate diagnosis so that proper treatment can be given. So there's one lady here who's working on antimicrobial resistance. So she understands the need for appropriate and early treatment, because if you don't give, first of all, early treatment, the person suffers. But once you start giving them wrong treatments, then that's when you start building antimicrobial resistance, right? And then it becomes much more complicated. So all these can be solved if a diagnosis can be done early and a treatment can be started as early as possible with the right treatment that will work. So to some extent, what we call as personalized medicine also means this, to say which drug is going to work for whom. First of all, whether the person is resistant or not is one story. But for many drugs, like mainly anti-cancer drugs and drugs for neurological disorders and all of them don't work for everybody. And there are genetic reasons why it doesn't work. So if you're able to identify that mutation in the person that will not make him work, then you don't have to give the treatment. It will not work for him in any case, right? So many of these are called companion diagnostics, which work with drugs. So first you test the person, see if the person will respond to the drug, and then give the drug. So this area is also becoming very important, and we're seeing that as we go along, most of the treatments, maybe in the next 4 or 5 years, I don't know how long, but will all be evidence-based. And every drug will be given based on what the person will respond to, including the dosage, right? So this is something which is again an area which is developing quite a bit. So AI is playing a role and will play a lot more role, right? Today we are talking about image analysis, but it will play a lot of role in mostly everything that we do, even in the diagnostic space. Pharma, of course, already doing in terms of the manufacturing side through robotics and through automation, and AI playing a role on top of that, helping quite a lot in building not only efficiencies, but also in enabling that your drug is much more safe, right? So that even the quality control can be automated now through AI and so on. So it's all becoming a different world, but I think it's becoming more and more, let's say, patient-centric, and much more to ensure that the right thing is going to be given to the right people at the right time, so that real healthcare delivery happens in the best way. So just wanted to give you a gist of certain things which are happening and how we are also trying to play a role, but a lot of people are working in these areas. We are going to see dramatic changes. In the next 2 years, I would say, we'll see everything is going to change the way people are going to be diagnosed and treated, and that will really continue, and it will be definitely a great thing for patients. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Shri Ram sir. I would like to request Sanjay sir to present a token of appreciation to sir. Vital breakthroughs in the meditech sector, which are not only helping us diagnose but also cure. Early diagnosis is definitely the key here, and thanks a lot for sharing that information, especially your success story to becoming a unicorn. I mean, here I thought that it was next to impossible, but you have just shared it in 15 minutes. I'm truly grateful to you. I now give it to our Mangirish to take us through the panel discussion. You would introduce the panelists to us.
Thank you, Ambika. First and foremost, it's my pleasure to present this concept to you. It was something which I thought of having almost 5 years ago. Somehow it did not turn up. COVID came. People were not meeting each other and whatever. So that's past. Today we are in a brighter future. Though we know, technology is still going through a lot of uncertainties at this point. The technology industry, the IT industry, if you understand it well, I would like to take this on a different angle. I would like to put it across that I think when we are on a little lower side, we should take this opportunity to actually know each other, collaborate and work. I think for me, the pain is that Sanjay sir knows me, Ambika knows me, Arvind sir knows me, everybody knows me. But the problem is when I go to somebody and I say, I have been the founder president of Goa Technology Association, and Goa Technology Association is the IT association of N number of IT companies. And we have around 300 IT companies in Goa. It's like, what? 300 IT companies in Goa? And that's the pain I have, that other sectors in Goa have no clue about it. The pain is that I wish that the other sectors are aware that there is serious IT happening in Goa. I just don't want the tech people to meet every time and have beer parties. I want the tech people to know and meet up with people who are from other sectors, like we are today. I mean, I'm so blessed to have such senior resource people, here who have done awesome in their own side, in their own, field. And these people today will be our ambassadors who will tell people that, there is serious technology happening in Goa for sure. And that's the same thing I want to take it to other sectors, which is tomorrow, in the next couple of weeks, we are planning something in the travel tourism and the hospitality sector. We are doing the next one, we are doing it in retail, we will be going in the manufacturing, we will be going in education, we will be going in other sectors. So I think so technology today is influencing all these industries so beautifully. And technology being the core of all businesses today, I think so we need to understand that when a small company like Umang, who is catering to so many clients across the globe today, like why I thought of healthcare first, because Umang as an IT company, we are serving to almost like 6 healthcare companies across the globe. We have been working with EMR applications in Australia. We have been working with human and animal healthcare in US. Been working with pharma, insurance, medical company in the Caribbean island. We've been working with another company in Sweden. So these are the different things which we are working along with. But who knows what we are doing sitting out in Madgaon? I think so that is the awareness what is required. I'm not talking about me, I'll talk about Amol. Where's Amol? Okay, Amol, he was there some time back. Amol is put up in Ponda. He is catering to almost 40 to 50 restaurants. He is a just 2 people company. He is catering to almost 10 hospitals in Goa. He is giving EMR solutions to them. Small time player. Why do you need to go outside Goa and check for, why these hospitals in Goa need to go outside? You have solution providers in Goa who can give you the support, who can give you the solutions, who can give you maintenance. I think so this is the gap what I realized we have. And I think this is where we need to fill in. Sujit, he runs his company Team Inertia. Team Inertia supported during the COVID times AIMA for building this patient records and COVID monitoring system. He had to build it within 2 weeks. So that is a solution we can give it. Amol is here. So Amol, I was speaking about you. So this is what we have, people who are already giving solutions. I will talk about another guy who is the original Kejriwal. He'll be here as a speaker next. So he is the first IT company in Goa, and I believe it is giving a very tough time to SAP also on a national level. I mean, you should appreciate these players. These people have been doing since like 1995, sir. 95. Okay. We were just in the few 8th standard, 7th standard. So that is what we have already been seeing what's happening in Goa long back. But today is the time, I think, we have to realize that we have the potential, we have the technology, we have to grow. And as Dr. Digambar already has spoken about what is the potential, what we have, and what is the thing today, we have a forum today that we can collaborate, we can look at what opportunities we have. And I think GTA is another excellent association where GTA has people who are doing different stuff and not just catering to international, they're catering to a lot of national level. We've got another team member here from Sidroy. They are into healthcare, they're into fitness. Again, around healthcare and stuff. But they're into fitness and so on. Who knows about it? I think so that awareness is also required. So without wasting much time, I would like to start this session by inviting first and foremost Dr. Praveen Kullar sir, the Executive Director of Virgo Pharma and the President of the Pharma Association of Goa. Praveen sir. Arvind Kejriwal sir, the co-founder and CTO of Progen ERP. Professor Sunil Bhand sir, the Senior Professor and Project Director, BITS Biosid Foundation. And Dr. Devdutt Sail, Director Member, GCI Healthcare and Wellness Committee, and also the member and the Secretary of the Telemedicine Association of Goa.
So, sir, I'll start with Praveen sir. Praveen sir, maybe you could just quickly, I've deliberately not introduced or asked for bio if you have noted. My point was to you quickly telling what are you exactly doing and how do you think, why do you think I must have invited you for this particular topic and what you can really add value to?
Okay, first of all, thanks, for your invite. I think this is one part. When he called me that he wanted me over here, so I was surprised, first of all, why he's calling me here. Talking about IT and other things. So I'm from a pharmaceutical field, but okay, I'm not an IT expert. But I think it's very good to see from a different eyes. I think this is a very important part. What I am doing, I'm an executive director in Virgo Pharmaceutical, almost around 37 years in the industry, spent 20 years in Dabur Pharmaceutical for seniors. I was R&D head there, and 16 years in Sanofi, and I was a Europe and International R&D Center head for 6 R&D center and 14 manufacturing site. Last 2 years in Virgo Pharma. I had done my PhD in pharmacy and also done management, finance and ISO from UK. That is my qualification. And I'm also a chairman of Goa College of Pharmacy and also part of the IP Commission and Skill Development. Earlier, I was also a chairman of the Health Committee of GCCI just a couple of years back. So my hands are in almost everywhere. So I am not expert, but I feel that learning an opportunity, and I am there with a student. I have written a book, Career by Design, for 10th and 12th students, how to select your career. So I think for us is connecting dots, is the most important part. Just to give the perspective of this, we are talking pharma. India is a pharma hub of the world. I think you know that part also. Almost 40 to 50% of generics in US comes from India. 25% of UK comes from India. We are the, I think, in the top 7 manufacturing hub as such in terms of value. Reason is value. Maybe we can clap. I think we are cost effective as well. Volume wise, we are in top 3. I think, like we are saying, India is growing from number, 5 and then number 3 and all. I think the pharma will also reach there one day. I think we aim for high that part. Just every one of you may know that pharma industry is a very regulated industry in terms of, documentation, regulation. It is related to health. So while I'll catch up on the other, questions later on, not going to be long. As we said, that drugs come from natural resources, mineral resources, can be a plant-based, animal-based, chemical-based, and all those things. How you process become a drug. If it is just herbal material, it become Ayurveda. If you process it with the alcohol and potentize, it become homeopathy. If you purify it, a molecule, it become a allopathic. That kind of thing is there. And allopathic medicines or pharma medicines, when we talk about, safety is very important. Hundreds of drugs, almost $100 billion, and then you get one molecule, required almost 15 years of phase clinical 1, 2, 3, and 4. And ultimately you get into that. So all manual understanding of a multi-specialty kind of a drug discovery over last, say, 10 to 15 years might result to nowhere. At the end you get an approval and then within 6 months find some side effect and then you have to withdraw the drug. So it is a very risky kind of a part. But IT has played an important role, especially AI. Reason being is data analysis is the most important part. When we talk about big data or blockchain, everything and anything in the pharmaceutical industry is data of a patient, diagnostics, disease, medicines, and it is the implication. One small example I can venture is that long back, 25 years back, I had a cough which was not going, and I've been given the antibiotics, worked 5 days, no action. Another doctor gave another antibiotic, 5-6 days, no action. Third doctor, third antibiotics, no action. So I walked into AIMS, I am from Delhi, though I was settled in Goa now. A doctor asked me just a couple of questions and he gave me a medicine. He said, you have got an anaerobic kind of a, infection, so antibiotic will not work. 1 tablet, 2 days, cough gone. So as Dr. Yu has said, it is not that, a bunch of so many of scans and, diagnostic will give you the idea. It is the factor what you need to know, what is the indication, what is the symptom, and that symptom will give you the right kind of a drug and what is required. I personally believe it is not only the medicine, it is that you say that walk well, eat well, sleep well, think well, and that makes you a holistic and spiritual kind of a person. Okay, so with that note, I'm happy to be here today. I'm sure that I'm here more for learning. I think, thank you again, Manish, for this. And over to you.
Yeah. Thank you. Sir, Ban sir, maybe a quick intro from your side.
Sure. Yeah, thank you, first of all, to GCCI and all the distinguished colleagues, friends. I am a senior professor, more as an academic here, but my role, what I feel, I am representing BITS BioSci Foundation, a technology innovation hub funded under the National Mission on Interdisciplinary Cyber Physical System by Government of India. With a funding of 125 crore, I think the main role for us here is to engage with stakeholders, understand in the area of health, agriculture, environment and water, what are the technologies needed for India and how India can lead globally. I think with that intent, we are spread across the countries. We are the only bio-CPS hub selected throughout the national competition, and we feel more responsible to engage with stakeholders and try to understand where our technological needs are. I think thanks to this forum today also that we understand a little bit more in deeper insight where we should go more in the tier 2 for healthcare 1 and 2. Also Dr. Sriram has highlighted. So we would like to, engage on indigenous made in India concept, engaging academia, industry and startups. I think that's our goal.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, sir. So, little warm up from your side.
Hello. Am I audible? Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Mangresh, for inviting me. I'm Arvind Kejriwal.
We need to give a round of applause. He has the guts to say that I'm Arvind Kejriwal.
As Mangresh introduced me earlier, we have been one of the earliest IT companies in Goa. Started our operations in 1987. And at that time we were doing work for, we were working for the banking industry, particularly State Bank of India. And later on, I developed a code generator. All of you have, many of you might have used now AI code generator like GitHub Copilot. So in fact, I developed a code generator in 1989 and it was featured in 2 national level magazines. And we had at one point in time 600 users, all big companies. But at that point in time, maybe the time was not right. And people used to think, well, as a programmer, as a human programmer, I can write a better code than machine can. So it's a programmer's ego. Okay, so the programmer ego was a big play at that point in time. And though we always used to tell the customer or tell the client that, look, what the machine is generating, it is quite good, it is very standardized, it is maybe it is devoid of any bugs, and it is foolproof. And when you write it using a programmer, a human being writes it, there are likely chances of bugs and all that. But then the thing was that as a programmer, the industry was just, IT industry was just starting, and the programmer's ego was so high that we did not have as much adoption of this particular product as we would have liked it to be. So it was, though it was a technologically highly successful, I will come to that why in a moment, but commercially we could not make it big with that product, and we had to stop the sales of that product. And then what happened was that at some point in time, we got invited by CMM group of companies, which has a lot of pharmaceutical plants in Goa, to develop software for them. And basically Wallace Laboratories, and then Biast of India, and there are a couple of other CMM group of companies. So we developed the software for them, and we started with few modules. Basically, you start with procurement, you start with drug master, you start with all items, the quality parameters, then you develop a quality module and develop a procurement module. So quality control module, procurement module, and the moment you have a procurement module, you want a finance module to pay the vendors. And then you go for a manufacturing module, so you can have a production record, batch master, and so on. And slowly, all these modules fell into place, and slowly we have now, starting from 6 core modules: financials, procurement, financials, quality control, manufacturing, and sales. To this now we have almost more than 25 modules spanning across everything, right from taxation and what have you. I mean, it's like almost like, we compete with SAP, and there are instances where we have customer has discarded SAP even after investing few crores of rupees, which is very tough decision, because once you invest couple of crores of rupees and you don't want to discard the software because some heads are going to roll. So, but if the owner is determined to get the result, he will discard the SAP and then go for something which is homemade and which will work. But wherever there is a big hierarchy of IT professionals and all that, and they want something SAP on their resume, obviously we are out. So basically it's like that. If somebody wants a Mercedes, you don't buy a Swift. So it is that. So maybe ours is like a Swift. We obviously don't sell BMWs or Mercedes. So that's the story. And how could we do it? That's why I'm connecting the dot back to the code generator, and I will connect the dot back later on in the conversation to AI and all that.
Sure, I'll give you some time to plan your other points. So I'll go to Dr. Sail.
Yeah.
Dr. Sail, a quick
Good evening,
intro from
everyone.
your side.
I am representing the Telemedicine Society of India Goa State Chapter. Our president was supposed to attend today's meeting, but unfortunately he couldn't make it, so I am filling it for him. Healthcare has evolved over the period of time. I'll just tell you a small example to put it in context. Just it's a warm-up session. The stethoscope which we are using now, it was invented in about the early 18th century. I think 1825 to be precise, by a French guy called as René Laennec. And it happened so that, he went to check a lady who had just delivered, and, she developed some chest complaints and uneasiness. So earlier the physicians used to auscultate by, touching their ear to the chest of the patient. But he could not do so since, it was the lady had just delivered. She was also, not feeling comfortable. So what that guy did is he just took, paper which was lying around. He made a roll out of it and, put it across to her chest and heard and auscultated her. And now, almost 200 years later, 25, we have stethoscopes which are having HD capabilities. They come with built-in ECG, so the reports can be, viewed on your handheld devices. It can diagnose with help of AI and machine learning. So healthcare is all about evolution, and I congratulate Mangirish being, the other side of the industry, not from the core healthcare industry, but the IT industry. He has curated this wonderful session wherein healthcare, IT and all other stakeholders can come together on one platform, exchange ideas and make sure that something conclusive and concrete comes out of it. So I'm looking forward for the discussion.
Thank you very much. So the round one, everybody gets 10 points each. So going deeper, before we go deeper into pharma and all this stuff, I think so before that, first and foremost, let me go to Arvind sir. Arvind sir, the question to you is pretty simple. We were just talking some time back about data. Okay, we were talking about data in medical, data in pharma, data in all this stuff, and we were saying there's going to be a lot of data which has to be protected. We were talking about data which has to be ethically kept and so on. So can you throw some light about how do you think it has been happening, or how do you think it has started evolving now? How is it happening?
Hello. Yeah, you see, as one of our panelists, who is one of the manufacturers in Goa, Burgo Pharma. So he mentioned that we are manufacturing almost 40% to 50% of the drugs for all over the world. In fact, I read somewhere in maybe in Economic Times that India is the pharmacy of the world. So that's the kind of, output, maybe not necessarily in value terms, but in terms of quantity, which we are contributing to the whole of the world. That is one side of the story. But on the other side, many of you might have read a story about how a cough syrup from India took lives of some patients, right? So we have, on one hand, we have companies which produce and follow protocols. On the other hand, we might have companies which do not follow protocols. So in a pharma industry, there is something known as good manufacturing practices. I'm not an industry expert. Whatever I am talking about is more as a software practitioner. And being a software practitioner, we look at basically our domain is the data. So I can talk about, as a software practitioner, I can talk about how the data should be, or what is the importance of what Mangresh just talked about. You see, data is something which speaks the truth. You see, unless you falsify it. So always the data has to be recorded. So in any pharmaceutical system, there are certain ground rules as to how the data has to be generated, has to be managed, etc. So first and foremost, there has to be fine-grained access control as to who can create a transaction, as to who can verify a transaction, and as to who can approve a transaction. And moment a transaction is approved, okay, before the transaction is approved, there has to be, once the transaction is captured, it has to meet certain quality. The transaction should be complete, it should be authentic, it should meet all validation criteria, it should not be incomplete. I mean, if there are 10 parameters, you cannot fill in 4 and leave 4 blank. You have to fill all the parameters, and it must follow a certain set of rules. So the validations have to be put into place, and then only the system should accept that data. Otherwise, the system should reject the data. And once the data is captured, and data must be captured at source. It cannot be that you scribble the data on a piece of paper and then go to the computer room, and so it's not offline anymore. It has to be online. As and when any event happens, the data must be captured. So that is the first thing. So access control, then workflow, basically who can create, who can verify, who can authorize. It has to be complete, it has to be authentic. And then once the data is captured, it must be signed by the person. I mean, every piece of data will carry the signature of the person. In the sense, a digital signature, it may be digital signature, it may be electronic signature. So that it is ownership of data is there. That means, see, if I have created a data or I have authorized the data, I cannot say tomorrow I did not do it. So that has to be there. The data must be timestamped. The data must not be backdated unless for certain transactions the organization policy, there is a documented policy which allows you to do so. Another thing is that the data must have a valid audit trail, in the sense that you must be able to see the journey of the data. How the data, who created the data, who verified it, who approved it. If there was a modification, what was the modification? What was the reason for the modification? Okay. So basically it's the data which is like your sort of a CCTV movie of how the operations have actually happened. Okay. And this is very, very vital to instill confidence in the mind of the regulator. Because the regulator will go by the data. The regulator is not looking at the CCTV camera. You are not installing CCTV camera and regulator. So regulator wants to look at the data. Second thing is, another most important thing is that data must be very secure against any kind of direct tampering. You should be able to enter the data only through the transaction, through the system. I should not be able to go after this data has been entered and it has been approved and it has been authorized. Somebody should not be able to directly, even without logging in, just go and access the record database directly through some command, SQL command, and directly update it. That should not be possible. Data should be durable. It should not happen that some part of the data is lost. I mean, in a system there would be hundreds of different schemas, thousands of schemas, so some part is lost, or that should not happen. The data should be protected against ransomware. Data should be highly available, in the sense that because the data is vital, you should have replicated copies. It doesn't mean you have 2 copies which are not in sync with each other. The copies of the data must be in sync with each other. So there is a primary set of data using which the system will always work. And in case there is a failure, the system will switch over to the secondary replication copy. Another important point is, if I can.
Yeah, no, so, but I think so, I'll come back to you on this, sir.
Can we put a question onto this?
We'll come to the question last, sir, otherwise we'll drag the whole thing. So, coming to Praveen, sir. Praveen, sir, we're talking about data, we're talking about, Arvind, sir, spoke about how to regulate and how to maintain the data on the technical side while the development happens. So maybe you could tell about how technology is really being used for drug development, and how is this really influencing the pharmaceutical supply chain and so on.
Okay. See, drug development, the stages are R&D part, then is a industrial part, and then is a distribution part. So we'll have to just look into that part. Data capturing is the most important, as Mr. Arvind has said, because I have just qualified myself as an ICE auditor almost 30 years back from UK. I could even see that by the impression of the people who are writing and doing it, whether it's done in the same day for the month record or it is done in a different pen or different moods, you can even check from the backside of the impression. Okay, so I had very interesting kind of thing because I used to also audit some vendors of my company, and just sharing with you the data part of this. So I went to a company, and then I've just seen 3-4 files and some records, signed. I stopped auditing. I said, sorry, I can't do further. He said, what happened? You have to be there audit for full day. I said, I've seen your 5 or 6 document, and it looks like it's a monthly record, but it is sitting on a one day, someone has filled in one go. So how can you say that? I said, you call the person, he will tell you that what he has done. So he called the person. I said, you have done this exactly the same way, same style and all those things. Mind it, in case that your mood is different, you will write with a different style, with a different impression, and you can even find out whether you are in a good mood or you are in a bad mood when you are signing it. Okay, so this is one part, is the data integrity. Unfortunately, in a pharma industry, 30-40 years back, we didn't have so much of money to spend into manufacturing plant and GMP, because it need all the money to have best of the class of machines and equipment. And the biggest of the biggest company of the world, they had to do certain things which are shortcuts, because we are like, it's not a planned way like marriage and all those things. We are last moment, someone will say, where is the garland, where is this, that, So we are like that, and we enjoy surprises. So in the industry, when you have a 100-page batch record, and you are not trained to do things as such, I think the only way is to just don't allow a person to have a choice of not being recording online, or recording offline, or recording backdated. So what we did, in my own organization, we have an electronic lab notebook. That means you cannot write anything in backdate very clearly. You can always write today, and if you have done mistake, you have chances how to correct the mistake. That is one part. I think an audit trail is the most important part. The second is the most important is the training part of it. So it is not the batch record, it is that the process, in case something is going wrong and you can't find out what has gone wrong, if the data is not correct and transparent. And that is the health, that is the safety, and that is the integrity. So data integrity is the key for Lifeline. And I think, as we said earlier, and Madam has said also, patient centricity is not money, it is not industry, it is the patient at the end. Unmet needs of the patient and the faith in the doctors and the medicine should not be taken just as a grant, because you have to make batches and you are less of hands, and then one person writes on a Sunday everything. I think that is not the point of this. So in drug development, data starting from the is called as a high put through screening. That means 1,000 of molecules are screened. You get some 50 or 100, then screen to animal, then you select 3-4 to the clinical phase 1, then is the dose, then safety, clinical phase 3-4, and then you get the drug. So if you have multi-specialty people and then all kind of experts, and if they don't record properly, you can't find out, it's a so high risk, so it has to be there. So there is no choice. Pharma industry, and you will be happy that in Goa, though I am a president for the industry association for many years now, we have never had such kind of incidences where you find that something has gone like a serious data breach. and we produce 25,000 crores worth of a medicine, and 70-80% goes to the world highest kind of regulatory bodies or regulatory markets, US, Japan, Australia, and Europe and all. 10 or 11% of the entire pharma industry of India, with a small town over here in that Goa, we manufacture over here. So no other state has 70 or 80% export. We produce, I think 70 to 80% goes export. And other companies, okay, so you can be louder, I think we have done a lot of things. And other thing is that digital part during COVID period, it was like meeting every day with the FDA director, myself, and then health secretary and the principal secretary. We used to meet every day. While people were sitting at home, enjoying TV, we used to go and having a meeting in a government office with a fear whether we'll be alive tomorrow or not. And I did it for 1.5 years. And every day, evening, 5 o'clock, I had to give a report, 25,000 people, how many came, how many are in quarantine, how many are having symptoms, how much you produce, what is the turnover. And at the end, when COVID was over, Goa state pharma industry was rated #1 in the entire India. Okay. Within 4 days of COVID lockdown, we started manufacturing. We had the maximum turnover. And Goa was the first state which was all pharma industry people were vaccinated out of turn as a health worker. And this is something when it's small, I believe when you have passion, when you have belief, no one, even God cannot turn your dreams to be in realities. Thank you.
And I think so, sir, your passion of actually driving this whole industry, and you as a president of this association, I think so you also have a lot of responsibility to make sure that everybody ethically follows stuff, right?
See, I am not a drug inspector kind of a person. Okay. But when you are in autopilot is when you are driving and there is a camera and then there is a record of how much you have paid, then you don't require a police inspector or a traffic inspector there. If you have a system which would not allow you to do anything, it is it's in control. So all the pharma companies over here in Goa, they are being audited by highest authorities almost 10 times a year. You are being checked almost every month. Someone is sitting, US, Europe, UK, Australia, Japan, someone is sitting in your office. And they don't come for 1 hour. Yeah. And you might be surprised, many may not know, they come sometime without information. You get a call from security office, so 3 US FDA inspectors are standing at the security gate, okay, and they will come for a week, and they will see you every corner of your building, place, documentation. They will interview your people, see the data and documentation. We felt that the US might think that, Indian industry, you can be tighter and make them to fail. Indian becomes stronger because they know how to pass. Okay, so their audit has trained us where not to fail. I think that is there. So when there is a rigorous kind of a inspection, I think more effort gives you a better result. And I'm proud that though I'm from Delhi now in Goa, I love this place. I love my industry. I love GCCI. And Mangrish, I love you today.
Thank you very much, sir. So on that note, I'll go to Band, sir. Dr. Band, once upon a time, Arvind sir was a startup, correct? So I'm sure he is not a doctor, but of course he has built his, his expertise and his knowledge around this field, and today he is as good as not exactly in the pharma field, but yes, he is. He knows everything in and out. Right. So, what do you think are certain factors which maybe a startup or a person who is the founder of a health tech or a meditech company has to take care, or how do you think people have to follow those ethical practices before getting into this?
Okay, yeah, I think it's an interesting question and also very pertinent question. Incidentally, though, I have inventor in maybe almost 25 patents now and 10 granted. I haven't registered a startup, but I have been into the ecosystem as a dean sponsored research for 8 years for the whole university, where I was interacting with 1,000 plus faculty on a daily basis for 8 years, and including Grey Orange, which is today also one of the unicorn in the automation, and right from Swiggy, you take, what you call Strand Life Science, which is now bought by, Reliance, a bit alumnus startup. So if I look around and look back, also happen to be now BIREC committee member to evaluate, so you learn more by evaluating people, as Dr. Kuller just now mentioned. So a couple of things are, was also hearing Dr. Naik sir, that do we know the problem we want to solve?
Exactly. So that is my question, where
Yes.
I am talking about that if I tell Dr. Digambar that, I'm working with N number of healthcare companies across the globe, but he will have a question whether I know anything about the health industry.
Exactly.
So that's the big question I'm
Yes,
talking.
right. So that is where the startups, initially if you look back 15 years ago, there were very few players if you really look at in the startup, particularly healthcare. Today if you look at the startups now, the ecosystem has grown. Today BIREC gives suppose up to 200 crore with 50% equity. So looking at the maturity of the system, and if you look around the success story, if I look at medtech sector where I sit and look at a lot of startups which are doing really into the medtech sector, manufacturing and this, I think some of the challenges are, first we try to replicate what is in the West, as Naik sir was sharing offline. We need to understand what is needed for us, modify it and make it acceptable and affordable both. That's one point which I observed amidst the real startup which I looked at. The second point is the manufacturing, which is an issue today. I more belong to biosensor or biomolecular sensing area, where the 90% or 95% today is imports. So we have to innovate, be original in idea, and that's now some of the startups are doing. Like we have now the CRISPR bits and Strand, both happen to be our bits faculty startup, Professor Chandru now, who is IISc Bangalore. But incidentally, as you rightly said, the startup need to know not just being Indian, but be with the global standards. That's my take on that.
So we're talking about affordability. So Praveen sir, a quick question to you before I go to Dr. Sahil. We're talking about affordability. Do you think technology is anyway supporting you in any way to make drugs cheaper?
The answer is big yes. I think manpower cost, documentation cost, trailing on those particular things and accessing data, auto generation of purchase order, inventory control, movement, timelines, supply chain, data loggers, all those things, involve technology. And if you do it manually, there is a chances of human error. If you do something, which is requiring a personal, you need, you rely on people's training and their own will and wish, how they do. I've seen that the highway also, where there are trucks and buses going on, they are seeing mobile. Sometimes it tells you that, you will become a poster picture here because, you don't see even what's going on there.
Absolutely.
So, I think IT is something, it's like a husband and wife, I can say that. Okay, so pharma industry and IT, you might require each other to really grow.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you very much, sir. Sahil sir, tell me about you being a part of this telemedicine association now. What I understand is, when we say telemedicine, we are entering a virtual world now, right? So when we talk about virtual environment, do you think this type of a traditional in-person treatment which happens, can telemedicine replace it? Are we close to it? Or what's happening?
It's a nice question, but I would like to rephrase it a little bit. Is it on? Yeah, it's a nice question, but let me rephrase it because the word replace in your question, is totally wrong. See, nothing can replace conventional, or traditional treatment. See, technology cannot, we all have to understand technology cannot treat. Technology empowers the person who treats. And that is not going to change for at least next 1,000 years. maybe, when robots who are treating us today, they become patients, and then, they start treating robots, and that is where, probably the replace word will come. But next, for at least 1,000 years, I don't see it happening, and I wish, Mangarish, you live for 1,000 years to see that it doesn't happen. Okay. Now, coming back to your question. He's organized and brought us together, so at least, let at least one person stay for 1,000 years. So coming back to your question, no, it cannot replace, and this notion of replacing is totally wrong. See, telemedicine has been there, or e-health is been there for a long time now. Only after COVID, we have probably, recognized its importance, or made it a part of our, day-to-day functioning as a physician, or, as a medical practitioner. But it has been there around for a long time. See, everyone has seen 3 Idiots movie? Yes. Okay, you remember the scene when Amir Khan delivers a baby, I think Karina's sister, through video conferencing? So that is telemedicine. Okay. Now, it can only augment or support, but it cannot replace. See, I'll tell you example here of e-Sanjeevani. It's a telemedicine, portal which is constituted by or implemented by the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Government of India. It has made a world record. About 8 crore teleconsultations have taken place till now. That's a huge number. So what it has done is, it has nowhere replaced the in-person care as such. But yes, it has played a very supportive role, basically in rural or underserved areas. In cases where, the primary physician is not available, or in scenarios where preventive healthcare is more necessary than, the actual tertiary or therapeutic healthcare. So in such cases, telemedicine, e-health has been a great supporter or augmenter, but definitely I don't see an easy case scenario to replace it, in person or the conventional healthcare. Now, coming to the second part of your question, whether how safe, virtual care surrounding or environment can be. So for that, fortunately in 2020, realizing, the magnitude of requirement of e-health, Government of India has constituted telemedicine practice guidelines. Now, each sector in it has been addressed. A patient, calling up a doctor for teleconsultation, what should be the guideline? A doctor giving advice over, prescription over electronic modes, what should be the guideline? A caretaker, contacting a physician on behalf of the patient, what should be the guideline? So all these things are now, coming into a legal framework. So yes, it is very safe, checks are there. Though it is been there for a long time, but it has evolved over the past few years. So it is in teething phase, I still believe, and it is going to, get better from here. That's for sure.
So question around the same thing is like, what I understand is that Sriram sir was talking about the ease of medical facilities to tier 1 cities, as against tier 2, tier 3 cities and so on. So we talk about, let's not talk about tier 1, tier 2. Let's talk about the rural and underdeserved, or what do we call it?
Underserved, maybe.
Yes. So those areas, we have a lot of them in India, and I think we are struggling to reach the last mile to give the medical facilities to them. Do you think maybe telemedicine would be something which can bridge this gap?
definitely it can. Let me tell you, like your question is borderline to the kind of infrastructure probably our country has. Forget about the country, but let us speak about our state of Goa itself. Now, infrastructure wise, we are far better placed than any of the states. See, to just give you a small perspective, about the magnitude, our doctor from DHS is also here. See, we have about 200 sub-centers, or which now they are called as, wellness clinics. It has been named as wellness clinics. Now, those are across, 13, 14 talukas of our state. Above that, we have about 37 primary health centers, community health centers, and urban health centers. Okay. Above that, we have 3 or 4 sub-district hospitals. Then we have 2 district hospitals. Then we have, Goa Medical College, which is the premier most institute. Now we also have a super specialty block. So infrastructure wise, the percolation of healthcare services is there. At least in the state of Goa, it is definitely there. Now, how they are connected to each other, how well do they, offer the services which actually they are mandated to offer, that may be questionable, and the reasons also may be lack of human resource, because you need someone to run that place. So yes, in those areas, where the gap is, because of human resource, probably this service cannot be delivered. There, yes, technology can play a very important role. Now, in case of, even say, notifiable diseases, how are we really compliant that a person sitting in, say, a remote village of Khotigaon in Kankona gets a notifiable disease like, say, tuberculosis, how fast and in real time is it, reported to the regulatory body like Directorate of Health Services? Unless until we bridge that, gap, the delivery of service cannot follow. So yes, technology can play a very important role in bridging that gap by creating that ecosystem, by connecting all these stakeholders on, say, one platform, which by large now through the Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission and the ABHA cards is happening. But it will take some time. I think at least next 5 years are very important for this ABHA card to, be in each one's hand. Like today we saw that, not even 5% of the population sitting across has, registered on the ABHA card. So it has to percolate, and then the ecosystem gets created, all the stakeholders come on one platform, and that is where, technology can play a very important role.
So my last question, before I open up for the audience, my last question to you first. Tell me about, considering you as the only technology guy on the panel, tell me, do you think AI can really make a change in the health sector or the medical sector, pharma sector? Because I know you have recently started an AI based startup, and which is...
Yeah. All right. There are 2 parts we need to look at. One is the pharma, and second is the...
You need to make it quick because we are running out of time.
One is pharma, second is healthcare. Now, as far as we talk about pharma manufacturing, the scope of using AI would be rather limited compared to what it could be in the healthcare. The potential of AI in healthcare is immense. And it is not just AI. Now, the buzz around AI, people think Gen AI, ChatGPT is the AI. But ChatGPT is only one form of AI, which is known as a generative AI. Okay, but for example, as one of the panelists was talking about that how the MRI is being read by the AI, so that's computer vision. So computer vision is also a kind of AI. So when we talk about healthcare, the opportunity of using AI is immense. But when we talk about manufacturing, so manufacturing is happening using reactors, so you need raw material, you need processes, and we are not even talking about drug discovery. So even in drug discovery, there is a huge potential for AI to discover new drugs. If time permits, I can explain how that might be. I am not an expert in that, but whatever I have understood. But as far as the regular pharma record keeping goes, the role of AI would be rather limited. But now people are touting that AI can be used in a big way. I mean, he's my client actually. This company is my client. I might go to him tomorrow and say, well, we will do AI in your software. What I would actually be doing is something known as, there is a term.
If you get more business sitting out here, I'm taking the commission.
No, I'm not doing business. I'm actually trying to explain a new concept which is emerged, which is known as the AI washing. You add a small component of AI to a software and you say this is a AI driven software. Okay. So which is actually where AI is not adding any value to the thing. So actually what happens in a traditional bookkeeping, when you talk about data keeping, record keeping, there the role of AI is rather limited. You can make things a little bit automated. So you are basically replacing RPA, robotic process automation, with API, with the AI. But I think RPA is already very well established. AI is something which is still evolving. The architectures are still not very clear. It's too early. It's in the hype cycle. And well, yes, in some day in future it might have a big role. But as of today, if you ask, in manufacturing, limited role. But in healthcare, immense role.
A question to both of you. Do you think we are talking too much about technology? Do you think that, technology will really disrupt things and, rather make, nuisance around in the healthcare and the pharma and all this?
See, I think, when we know there is a need, there is something called as a luxury and there is something called as a need and something called as an emergency. So I think you can always improve upon any system, whether it's a tracking, I think, data tracking and retrievals. That is what we can do in manufacturing. However, in my earlier company, we had a robotic-based US company where we had all the vaccines. There are only 2 people in the factory and everything was done by the robotic. That means also that you are not only having a physical movement or other thing, and the plant is running of its own. And that is the kind of a particular thing is there. There is hardly any guidelines. US FDA has just done a general guideline on AI, which is still, I understand, I worked on nanoparticles long back and that was the first drug done by my earlier company and which is there. So when we talk about nanoparticle, 3D printing, we are talking about, genes and molecular diagnostics, prediction of a cancer based on the DNA, RNA and all those based there. So their AI role is to aid your informed decision making. Okay, so the mind of a doctor or the pathologist will work with the training they have. However, I know some startup which I will not disclose much, but one drop of a blood can give you almost 10-15 different kind of results. Even the cell structure, morphology and other thing, you can find out whether it is a normal or not there. And it will take you hardly 5 minutes. Okay, so it is a speed, it is the accuracy. It is a larger magnified picture which you get, which will help you to get a faster this one. And I recall, and maybe you would also know, 5-6 years back, there was a lot of resistance by the Chemist Association, why there is a, kind of online drug deliveries and medicines being prescribed and given to the, patient from a retail pharmacy showing there, because people will buy online and they get discount. Because in India, there are many people who are trained on that part. COVID period, we could get survived because of that learning, because we had online system there, and that is what is required to. To answer your question, discovery, drug delivery, data and this support, it should be used as an aid, not as a dependency. That without this we can't do anything. It's like a Google map. If the Google map is right, you will reach to a stage. And normally I put a little humor to my discussion. I was in Jaipur and other places, and then Google took me to a place where I'm going to office. It gone to a Shamshan Ghat. And there is a dead end. He says, then he's saying, your destiny is on your right side. Okay, so this is artificial intelligence. If it is not correct, so at a cremation ground, I said I still some life to go. Okay, so this is the way things are. If you are so much dependent, then I think my only last thing which I say, unmet needs of the patient in this world, the personal care which is required, the the professionalism, empathy, and business should have a kind of a balance. It should not be overlooked that money selling your kind of a application and imposing ease of doing business. I know ease of doing business, which one was doing 1 hour, it's taking now 3 weeks because the system is not validated properly. So I think if you believe and if you also agree with me, nothing is wrong, nothing is right. It is how you apply it, right? If you have to reach to Mumbai and you want to reach in 2 hours, you can't go by walk, you can't go by bus, you can't go by train. So if your patient has a heart attack, you cannot just depend that something will be there, someone will take this ECG, someone will do something else. Today you are not coming out of the X-ray room or MRI room and you are just going to a doctor. By the time he has a picture in front already seen. So it is a speed of data which is required, and I think excess of sugar can create diabetes. So we'll have to see AI should be used where it is really required, and responsibly take it as a sweet dish, not to fill your stomach with 1 kg of sweet dish. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. And sir, talking about the biggest barriers of technology adoption. So something from your side.
Yeah, I think I will be brief that one thing is the societal acceptance. So the technology should be such that it convinces the user, it gives the ease of use both psychologically and physically. I think that's one point I want to highlight. I'll give you one example. 10 years back, I was having a big project from World Bank to develop sensor, and then the World Bank team says, oh yeah, you are making an image-based sensor. Do you think a farmer will use the mobile phone? And after 7 years, India was the highest user of mobile phones in the world. So today, we are such a stage of technology adoption that it's a powerful tool in India's hand that everybody almost has a mobile phone. So any technology which is driven by mobile will have very quick diffusion. So that's my take on that the barriers need to be identified now, the more psychological and economical. I think if that can be addressed, I think India has a very bright future.
Just a small comment here, I think might be useful to everyone. Sometimes if you are ahead of time, people will scare you. Okay, so when I joined my last company, it's a multinational, I put it CCTV camera just for monitoring. I was told security people will, or the top global will come and then tell you are doing breach of privacy. Right? This is the way. When he came and he appreciated it, he said, you are the first site who is doing it. And in 2009, we got the Global Innovation Award, my site. And the CEO is presenting the award to me, and my people are sitting in Goa in a conference room having a video call. 2009. So someone says, who is on the laptop? I said, sir, my team who worked for this award. You can't believe, no one could think of that there is a possibility. I am in Paris and these people are sitting in Goa. I said, you have done it, you should be online, and then this is required. So it is used in a positive way, right? So use it technology to the advantage and use it appropriately. And I think the most important part is, like nanotechnology was a buzzword to sell, AI is becoming another one just to see that I am advanced, I know this better. I think it should not become just a matter of pride. It has to be used for matter of actual utilization. So let us not sell something ice cream to diabetes people.
Absolutely. The last question to Dr. Sahil. Someone who is coming from the medical side as a doctor, do you think doctors are quite easy to convince to use technology? They hesitate to use technology. I'm not talking about telemedicine part of it. I'm talking in general. Do you think it's easy for them to sell EMRs, or is it easy to sell something to make life easy for them in maintaining certain records or certain things?
See, as far as adoption of technology is concerned, as a practitioner, we will always have apprehensions to adopt a technology, and the only reason for apprehension will be the clinical outcomes for the patient. So if the technology increases, the clinical outcome. See, saving time, making things easy is, I don't think so any physician would give it as much as importance as, the clinical outcome of the patient is concerned. So if the technology can convince a physician that the clinical outcomes would improve, then probably yes, they will get convinced. But all the other, things like rightly said, AI, ML, all these, Midwestern vocabulary which we keep on hearing really doesn't make any sense if the technology cannot really make a difference in the patient's life. See, we all are globally moving towards universal healthcare now. So there are 3 A's, I'll quickly complete. There are 3 A's on which healthcare is standing now: accessibility, affordability, and availability. So any technology which can address these 3 things, keeping the patient in the center, I don't see any need for the technology to convince a physician. It gets accepted by its own form. And the simplest example of this we have seen is WhatsApp, which has been proven to be a great facilitator for COVID patients. We all know during COVID, how we used to make the patient sit, make a video call, see the readings on the pulse oximeter, whether he has worn it properly or no, tell them to do the, walk test and again see the reading. So simplest example of is that, but I would say that if it is patient centric, it, addresses the 3 A's of healthcare, there is no need to convince.
Just a quick adoption in Goa, and which is into the psychiatrist side of it, is something you have heard of the Sangat association, right? Sangat. So the telemedicine software which was done for Sangat is done by Umang.
Very nice.
Okay.
And actually
I think so that has been adopted so beautifully.
And it has been working very fine, because we also have got an opportunity to work with doctors and their team for Sangat on some educational, so yes, what you are saying is absolutely correct. It has, shown to be of tremendous benefit for even psychiatry. So there are a lot of verticals, in which telemedicine or e-health is used. The most prominent are teleradiology, tele-ICU. But there are, apart from these, there are many verticals like, what you pointed out, psychiatry, so in pockets, in segments, there are a lot of sectors of healthcare which can be addressed, effectively through telemedicine. I'll just add one more thing and I'll stop. Because this is something which all should know, and we should take
the audience if you have any questions.
Pride in. There is an program called as STEMI, which is run by the Public Health Department, Government of Goa. STEMI is basically ST elevation myocardial infarction. Dr. Naik is also here. He will also know about it and would be able to tell you more about it. See, it is a specific heart attack which patients get due to decreased blood flow to certain parts of heart. And what the STEMI program is that once a person gets a heart attack, it works on hub and spoke model. So whereas the hub are the tertiary care hospitals and the spokes are the healthcare establishments which have this facility. So it's a trigog facility in which a tele ECG will be done. It will go within 5 minutes to the patients and the consultant sitting in Bangalore. They'll report it back in real time, and immediately the person will be administered thrombolytic medications, because the first hour is the golden hour in cardiac arrest. So it is addressed within the first hour, and I'll tell you that it has saved more than 5,000 lives in Goa alone recently. So yes, it helps. Telemedicine can help save lives in such scenarios. Thank you.
Thank you, doctor. So anyone has any quick question? Samuel.
Okay. Now I'm here as a common doctor. You are here sitting there as... IT people, experts in IT. Let me just put on this STEMI today. Today, through AI, you get a direct STT response. You don't need it, the doctor doesn't have to see that ECG. It comes directly that it's this STEMI and give streptokinase injection. Okay. So this is one part of it. Second part about this, all these datas. Okay. See, I have huge data with me. Each patient is a blog of data. I will never have enough time to put that data into the system that you give me. So if ever you have to think of using this data, you have to redo the new systems today. Use your AI to do the system where I can put in all the data of my patients, and then that data could be something different. Okay. Because for me, a patient, as a doctor, when I'm sitting here, what is that patient? That patient is exactly what he eats, okay? And diet is such a different thing. The patient is exactly the way he physically lives, and the patient is exactly patient, and his disease and his cure is exactly depends upon what he thinks. In putting it very simple terms, okay? And it's only when I combine all these things together that I'm able to set that patient right. So you need to put all these into this data, into AI to make me help my patient. Suppose by tomorrow you might just do it often. Like I just talked about the STEMI, the ECG report. First, initially it was being seen physically by a cardiologist 10 or 15 years back. Today it comes automatically. Nobody sees that report. Okay. So this is one part of it. See, I've been into medical practice from 1975, almost 50 years now. If you look at in 1900 and early 2000, IT medicine came too much into practice. Every 15 days I used to have somebody coming in showing me some app, this app will help you, this will, in so many different ways. Okay. And well, I tried my best to use them, but I could not. Then I just analyzed what was going on. See, you have a language which is like you come from Venus, and my language is I come from Mars. These two don't match. I don't understand what you write, and you don't understand what I think. This is exactly where the situation is so far as medical life is concerned. After having learned all this thing, then what I did, I employed a software writer. Okay? I employed a person and I kept on interacting with him. And I tell you, I've created a echo report. I can see a video of a heart in, Europe or in Africa, and I can give you a complete report of that patient to Africa in less than 1 hour's time. Okay? Which I did myself. Why? Because I learned his language, I made him learn my language, and this is how it happened. So if at all you have to enter into health in that big way, this is where we need to understand the change.
Absolutely, we need to look at
either
the romance between the technology and
you
the
have to
healthcare
teach
side.
me your language, or at least in my case, I didn't have much time to learn his language, but I made him sufficient way to sit with every echo that I was doing.
Absolutely.
So he started doing echos, he started understanding the heart. What is your heart? It is not just a pumping thing. It works. If you are a little annoyed, your heart works differently. If you are happy, your heart works differently. It works with all the three things. Exactly what you eat, what you physically exercise, and what you think. These are the just three aspects which are a basic thing for any doctor to treat a patient.
Absolutely.
And if we need to, if AI can integrate this, we create a great
Yes.
value for that.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Any other question? Thank you. Yes. Yes, Chadwick.
My question's a little different. My name is Tadvik Fernandez.
You're redirecting it to somebody?
Yes, mainly to Dr. Praveen. I represent a human resource company, so my question is more surrounded with people, but both IT and pharma. Dr. Digambar Naik said that sometime back we were scared or nervous that technology is going to take away jobs. And now we are at this place where technology is creating opportunities. Dr. Praveen, my question is, over the last, let's say 15, 20 years, how does that stand in the pharma? Has technology replaced people? Has technology reduced the number of people that you used then and use now? Or is it still the same?
See, I think technology has made it to be a more usable and then interpret and then more retrievable. I think data is there. You get more time to do more business. I think I'll tell you like this. Suppose you have got 100 people, they do some 10 crore worth of business, and you save 30% of their time. Now that 30% you can say 30% you can get extra work done. So I did my post-graduate in HR way back in 1989 or so. The most important part, as Dr. Digambar has said, everything is this, mind. Your disease is your mind, your acceptance is your mind. The change what you are saying, doctor, is that there are three kind of people: resist change, follow change, and create change. Create change is hardly 5%. Follow maybe 30-40%. 50% people will not change unless this become a stress or survival for them. They will not learn unless they know, if I don't learn, I lose my job. They will not learn. So it is a mindset. And as I started my first discussion, I would like to end there. Eat well, think well, sleep well, and positive mind, your spiritual guidance, anything which is required, all together has to be holistic.
Can we quickly tell about your losing of weight, sir?
Oh my God. So he started enjoying. I know what's going on in your mind when these people will stop. I know this is what you are thinking for last half an hour's time, right?
I am thinking how to make you talk about that.
Okay. It's I can tell you what doctor said during COVID period. I was working in R&D and my timelines have been 12 to 14 hours a day. Working hours, office, home, reading, whatever. So I worked almost 35 years, almost 12 hours or 14 hours. Even on Sundays also, normally I do something because I'm on a social and professional various things. So if I don't do anything, I'm restless. And I'm from north, so eating is, is always there. So I put on weight almost 109 to 10 kgs. And then walking even for 2 minutes was is a challenge for me. You walk for 2-3 minutes, it used to be like choking and you have to stop. So I thought, what's going on? This is the way I'm going to live my life. So one person who was 2 years elder than me, I'm talking when I was 55, today I'm around 61. And he walked almost 100 kilometers in 2 days. And he called me, he said there is a charitable something there, and if you walk, you get some donation, then you this. I said, I can't walk even a kilometer. He said, Praveen, think over, plan, you can also do it. I thought, okay, so my first target from my home, Donapola, to my factory, 25 kilometers in Verna in Sanofi. I thought within 2 months' time, I'll walk from my home and go to my factory, and I did it. Okay, so started with 2,000 step, 5,000 step, diet control. Okay, so I am on millets for last 3-4 years now. And within 2 years, from 109, I became 83 kgs. 26 kgs lost. And walking became a passion for me. If I don't walk for 2 hours, I don't sleep. This is one part, whether it's 1 o'clock or 12 o'clock in the night. So 2 hours, at least 8,000, maybe 10,000 steps, that is what is there. And it is not only that, the walking was there just to lose weight. I started enjoying. I created a walking group in my company. Then entire 100 countries of my company. Then at the COVID time, we had a walkathon. Walkathon was 4 days. So my team came first. We did 800 kilometers in 4 days. I did 125 kilometers. And there was a, competition between people. How much you can do in a day. So my maximum was 30,000 steps. Someone did 50,000 steps, which is my colleague, who walked with me from Donapula. He did 50,000. So I am always a challenger. I said, you did 50, I'll do 60. Someone said, tomorrow I'm going to do 60. I said, my target is 70. Next day morning, 4 o'clock, I was in this one, Penjim, Miramar, walked for 5 hours, went home, had some breakfast, walked 5 hours, have lunch, walk 5 hours. 12 o'clock night, 71,000 steps, 55 kilometers. Okay. So, I believe your weakness can be your strength. If you have got, I'm talking today, if you tell me a topic and tell you I have to speak 5 hours, I can do that. At college time, I cannot speak at that point. I could not speak even for 2 minutes. Most shy person. So, the biggest part in life, I'm preaching now, but don't think I'm some Baba or Sannyasi or Sadhu. But the biggest part is connect yourself to something you believe. Your parent, your mentor, your guru, your God. Connect with that and say that, yes, you are with me and I will not take any wrong decision. You are with me and I'm always walking along. You have to hold my hand. That is one part. Second is, try to see that you are taking a good health, which is there. I can do that, but I'm still, have at least 5 to 6 tea or coffee in a day, which I have to still reduce. But that is the kind of thing. The second part is your physical, mental, spiritual, social, psychological, all part has to be balanced. And this can be balanced only when you are a happy man or happy woman. And when you walk, your dopamine level increases, your happy hormone increases, you become positive, you will fight less with your spouse, okay, and less BP. You are happy, you make people happy, and when you make people happy, you are healthier. And positive mind, with the positive mind, you take right decision gives you success gives you happiness, and this cycle remains. So God bless you with your health, happiness, and thank you everyone for being here. Though we have spent a lot of time, I'm sorry that we have crossed the time, but I think it might not be a waste of your time. Some picking point for today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Over to Ambika.
Before we proceed to vote of thanks, I think we have some mementos for the panelists. I request Dr. Digambar if you can just, sir, present these mementos. Thank you, Doctor. Before that, I'll just, I'm privileged to present the vote of thanks on behalf of the organizers to the event. Firstly, I extend heartfelt gratitude to our keynote speaker, Mr. Sriram Natarajan, for giving us a valuable time and knowledge. I'm sure the gathering benefited to the maximum with his deep insights. Special thanks to the Director Health for all the support and Dr. Shweta for sharing her thoughts on digital mission. My special thanks to all the esteemed panelists, Dr. Khullar, Mr. Kejriwal, Professor Bhan, Dr. Sail, for your expert comments and suggestions which will potential outcomes which can bring out revolution in Goa's healthcare sector. Thanks to all the partner organizations, GTA, Sujit and his members, ASOCHAM, BITS as knowledge partner, press and media partner, Prime TV, special thanks to GCCI Healthcare Committee led by Dr. Naik and other esteemed members for being present here, their guidance, all the GCCI Secretariat staff led by Sanjay Amonkar for smoothly conducting the event, and we will have more such events in the future as well. This is just the beginning. Thank you all.
Today we are at this event up by the Future Tech Leadership Forum, which is an initiative by the Umang Group, where today we spoke about how technology can impact pharma, medical, and the healthcare overall. We had a very interesting panel discussion, and we had some distinguished guests who were present, and a good audience, where a lot of questions was asked whether technology is going to be the next revolutionary thing in the healthcare industry. So we really look forward to having more such series in the future, and I wish Mangiresh Salelkar the very all best. Thank you.
फ्युचर टेक लिडरशिप फोरम ही संस्था आणि गोवा चेंबर्स ऑफ कॉमर्स अँड इंडस्ट्री हांच्या जोड सहयोगान आज एक कार्यक्रम GCCIच्या हॉलान करपाक आयलो. तातूंत हेल्थ केअर इंडस्ट्रीचे आनी IT इंडस्ट्रीचे खुबशे एक्सपर्ट्स तशीच पब्लीक जमा जाल्ली. तातूंत डिस्कशन अशें जालें की सद्याक डिजिटायज्ड हेल्थ केअर हो कॉन्सेप्ट खूब चल्ला. सो हाऊ कॅन द हेल्थ केअर इंडस्ट्री आनीक मेडिकल इंडस्ट्री कम टुगेदर आनी तांच्यांनी आरोग्य हे बरें करपा खातीर किंवा स्वस्थ करपा खातीर आनी सगळ्यांक पावोवपा खातीर कसली पावलां उचलपाक जाय हाजेर एक खूब बरें डिस्कशन जालें, ब्रेन स्टॉर्मींग जालें आनी हातूंतल्यान ज्यो वस्तू भायर सरला, ज्यो हाजेर खुबशे हाजेर डिस्कशन जाला, तातूंतल्यान ज्यो डॉक्युमेंट जाला, तातूंतल्यान खंय ना खंय गोंयच्या भलायकीचेर हाजो बरो परिणाम जातलो आनी हेल्थ इंडस्ट्री आनी IT इंडस्ट्री एक येवन पेशंटाच्या भलायकी खातीर काम करतले.
I am here as a panel member in the event organized by Mr. Mangrish. The event is called Future Tech Leadership Forum. Listen, act and excel. And this is a very good initiative from Mr. Mangrish to connect the technology world with the different sectors of the society. So today it was pharma and healthcare, and in future he is planning to have sessions where he will talk about technology with other sectors. So we have a forum called GTA, which is a Goa Technology Association, which has got more than 300 members. But many of the companies and what we do here in GTA is not known to the society at large. So his attempt is to bring the technological world closer to all the other domains, industry, healthcare, which may be healthcare, it may be tourism, it may be manufacturing, or it may be other walks of life. So I applaud Mangrish for his endeavor, and I congratulate him on this event. Thank you so much.